Hey everyone, this is Michael Giacchino, and you're listening to Across the Bifrost.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Across the Bifrost. This is the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode, we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. Everybody, today, we are here to review Guardians Volume 3. And in order to do this, we brought back the entire Warriors 3. Faz is here. Will is here. Fellas, are we ready to break down Guardians?
Yeah. Hello, bonjour. Super ready. Super excited.
Yeah, we got to keep it. We got to keep it fresh, Ryan.
And
oh no,
everybody
he's got catchphrases again.
If you couldn't tell from the episode title, our special guest TRIPP FULLER is back from our MCU draft days to break down Guardians with us. Welcome back, TRIPP.
I'm glad to be here, and I have an agenda tonight, Ryan.
Oh, of course you do.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
That's what I'm up to.
Do you have any Guardian sound effects? Do you have any Guardian sound effects in there?
No, I just
I Am Groot? You don't have I Am Groot in there?
No, if I had thought more about it in advance, I would. But then I would have used them more, and Ryan would have been like, "Why the hell did you use sound effects my whole podcast?"
Here's the thing: I totally forgot about your soundboard.
Just enhancing the production value is what it is. That's how we're gonna get double the listeners because of the sounds.
Oh my gosh, that's okay. So everybody, if you remember our MCU draft, that's about the quality level you should expect from what you're about to hear. And so we're gonna jump into our coverage of Guardians 3 by doing what we do on our show. We have to connect everything to Thor podcast. We're gonna find a way to connect whatever movie or MCU property we're covering to a Thor comic. And this time I felt like I owed Faz an apology for the last comic we chose for Quantumania. I know Will is an animal lover, and I know TRIPP is here for all things zany and weird. So I found the perfect comic. I found the perfect comic for this collection of comic book readers. We are going to be reading Pet Avengers number 5. Actually, Guardians Team Up number 5, featuring the Pet Avengers. And so I'm so excited to talk about Throg. So we're not going to be talking about Thor, but we are going to be talking about Throg, the Frog of Thunder, one of the members of the Pet Avengers, and a team up that he and the other Pet Avengers did with Cosmo and Rocket Raccoon.
And for the listeners out there, just so you know, Ryan's favorite Thors in order go 1, War Thor.
It's pretty
2,
hard.
Not Throg, but the original Thor frog that we're going to get to, Puddle Gulp, as we get into the Simonton Saga. 3,
right.
Throg. 4, Loki, that one time he lifted Mjolnir. And 5, original Thor Odinson, tied with Jane Foster, depending on the vibe she's had to drink.
I only have a few discrepancies with that, but overall, that's a pretty solid bunch. I'm excited to see where that goes in the future. Hey, guys, has anybody, just so we kind of understand where we're at, has anyone read any Pet Avengers, any Guardians stuff, or are we coming in totally cold on these properties?
I came in cold, and now I'm very interested because I've just never had such affection for a rodent.
I'm going to echo TRIPP's words, everything he said there. Didn't go in with any details, and I'm going to have to go read it all.
Well,
yeah, I can't say a Pet Avengers book has been like my pull list or anything, but definitely when they show up in other books as like guest stars, I'm all in. And I did like when the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out, they were putting out promotionals for like Rocket Raccoon and Groot team ups with Scotty Young and some of those books and some of those covers that Scotty Young did. And I was like, yeah, I'm in for that. So I think I do remember reading this way back when it came out. And so when you brought it back to us like this, and because the art's so good. But yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Scotty Young, because I will reference him later because of the interior art style we get in this book. It's so Scotty Young, it's crazy. So here's a synopsis of the issue, and then we're just gonna go around and regale you listeners with what we thought of this comic, and most specifically Rocket, Cosmo, and Throg in this. And there's so many crazy characters in this, so I'm sure there are thoughts aplenty on this issue, because this issue is really the most concentrated form of like the four of us as a comic. So here we go. Rocket and Cosmo are in nowhere. They're in the head of the Celestial, and they are on monitor duty. Rocket does not want to be on monitor duty. He would rather be downing some of his Akanti Blubber Ale, this really, really fine, exquisite beer that he has selected. And Cosmo thinks that Rocket should be taking this more seriously than he is, but he's Rocket, so he's not going to do that. Cosmo tries to play keep away with the beers. Rocket follows after him, goes through a portal because why not? And he ends up at the poker game of the Pet Avengers, and Cosmo is there as a player in the game, and Rocket is like, okay, I just want my beer, I just want to go, I just want to go enjoy my beer, that's all I want to do. And wouldn't you know, the Pet Masters of Evil show up. I know Will is a fan of all these different versions of the Masters of Evil. So the Pet Avengers,
isn't it the pets of the Masters of Evil? Didn't they make it clear that they're just hanging out? Yeah.
The pets of the Masters of Evil. Yes, thank you, Faz. So they kidnap the Pet Avengers, and Vulture Von Doom is hell-bent on using their cosmic energies that the Pet Avengers got from being close to the Infinity Gauntlet in their own book a while back. He's going to gather their energies and make his own cosmic cube. That's kind of our villain plot. Rocket and Cosmo go after the Pet Avengers to save them. They end up in a big fight with the pets of the Masters of Evil, and they win the fight. They get teleported back to safety. There's a little line from Dr. Doom that's fantastic. He's off panel, and Doom has a great line about Vulture Von Doom. And then there's some weird stuff at the end where, because they're on monitor duty, Grot, the Planet Slayer, shows up, and they dispose of him in like 2 panels, and then it's like, rah hurrah, let's all play poker and have beers together. And Rocket is like, you guys suck, but like, you're not totally useless, so cheers. And then that's how our little one-shot adventure of Rocket and Cosmo meeting the Pet Avengers ends. So guys, did I miss anything? I feel like that was a pretty
There's only one thing that you missed that I really think that the listeners need to know. So this comic, I think, came out around 2015. Ryan, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
One of the Pet Avengers is called Bitey McSpidey Bite.
Yes.
And listeners who might know, the Bodie McBoatface meme, which is the whole Mick thing that was such a big deal, was a year after this. So the writers of this book preempted one of the greatest memes in the history of the internet, and I think that they need some respect for that.
Did you go look this up personally?
I went when I saw Bitey McSpidey Bite. I thought, wasn't Bodie McBoatface like 3 or 4 years ago? And I googled it, 2016, right after this comic.
You didn't use AI to figure this out.
No,
this is just straight. You're just giving that CFAZ glory right there.
This is just Faz's brain, listeners out there. That's what you get when you sign up for the Patreon.
Classic research. Classic research.
Yeah, the fact that like the lineup, so like the part of this is like of it is like, Cosmo is stealing the beer, not to keep away because he's just trying to keep the beer out of Rocket's hand, but has a purpose. He wants to bring it to the poker game. So you're like,
yes,
to the poker game. And you see like the lineup of like the Pet Avengers, which Miss Lion is on here, which is like the dog from Spider-Man, His Amazing Friends from the 80s cartoon.
Yeah, forever ago. So like they're pulling out all these things, and then when the pets of the Masters of Evil show up, they had the lineup. Some I knew, some I didn't know, but the spider who actually bit Peter Parker is on the pets of Masters of Evil.
Oh my God, that's the same spider, and his name is Bite McSpidey Bite.
Yeah, I think they made up just for this con. Because I think this is only a
That's canon now. Peter
That's
Parker was
canon
bitten
now.
by a
That's
spider
canon.
named
So
Bitey
the
McSpidey
spider,
Bite.
the spider that bit Peter Parker is out there, still alive, and is a part of the Masters of Evil.
Someone needs to use that for a quiz bowl question. What is the name of the spider that bit
Yeah,
like
that's happening.
Peter Parker? And then
That's
you use
next
this as
level.
the justification.
I mean, I really think there's only 4 people that might get the answer to that question at a random Marvel Comics trivia.
Right.
Looks like it was just a one-off thing anyway. There's like a god of spiders that bit him that's what they've retconned it to now. Everything's a god. Come
The
on,
spider
guys.
god.
Listeners, do you hear the disappointment in Faz's voice?
Yeah, he's like, I wanted it to be a preemptive meme. Give me the early meme.
He wants
sad.
Alyssa Wong to retcon the hell out of this.
100% I do. Alyssa, if you're
Yeah.
listening, please fix this for me.
Please.
Has there been a brewery that made this beer? Like, I just feel like you're asking for it, right? Like,
Hey, Trip, you brew, dude. Right? Get on.
I know
it.
that's why I'm
Just do it.
asking. I don't want to break
No.
but
No, I have not seen this anywhere.
so we experience in this Rocket Raccoon has like real like he was in a fraternity, but he's kind of matured because he's trying to be a guardian and stuff. But if he's stuck on surveillance at a computer and he's like sitting there with his homeboy Cosmo, he's like, come on, let's just rock this and stuff. And then Cosmo, at first you're like, whoa. He's got too much Soviet Union in him. The idea that you have high quality tech to surveil people, like, can we like, he's like into surveillance. He's like, there's nothing more patriotic than just mass surveillance of the cosmos. And he's like, you cannot drink on the job, Rocket. But Rocket's like into freedom and liberty. Like, he's probably really down.
I don't remember the comic being this political. Do you guys?
Trip's been drinking. When Trip gets drinking, it gets political. Here we go.
Rocket Raccoon is a American raccoon. He's not a raccoon in other countries. He's like a straight
He's
American
from
raccoon.
New York.
He's just like give me that
Best
Statue of
friends with
Liberty.
Roger Willis, fine American hero.
Cosmos got in the surveillance state, but then you find out it's not really the surveillance thing. It's that another trope for like Soviet Union that he just wanted to steal the liquor. He's like, I want to steal this from the Americans. What? High quality beverages. And that's why craft beer has been exporting across Europe. And then when I was in Europe, I realized, look, Western half of Europe, decent craft beer. Germany, exception, wonderful beer. I tried 4 different Russian craft beers. If I was Cosmo, I would steal Rockets too.
The difference is communism. It makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Communism equals crappy beer.
But
Crappy
they did have a
craft beer.
very like Mary Pippin vibe. You know, like where
yeah.
where it's like a lovely give each other a hard time.
Yeah. I honestly like that they got their own little adventure together, because sometimes if you hear that Rocket's going to go on a buddy cop adventure, you assume Groot now. And you know, Cosmo doesn't really, like in comics, he doesn't really have like a automatic like that's Cosmo's, you know, person he's going to go off on an adventure with. I like they got to have an adventure, and we didn't even mention really fully the Pet Avengers lineup is because we got to get to our guy Throg.
Yeah.
Hairball, Red Wing, who's Falcon's sidekick, Zabu, who is Kazar's sidekick, the Sabretooth. Zabu is one of my favorite animals in the Marvel Universe. Lockjaw, one of the Inhumans, giant dog with a mustache and has telepathy. Don't think too hard about it.
Teleportation.
Miss Lion, who we already mentioned, and our guy Throg, the Frog of Thunder, who gets a few little fight scenes in here where he takes out Bitey McSpiderbite. He electrocutes all the webs coming out of his mouth, I guess. But
As one does.
Bitey McSpider.
Obviously, the pets of the Masters of Evil, Thori. Loki's Hellhound is here, a young version of Thori. He's small in this one. He's not funny like he is in the Jason Aaron run.
Oh,
Falconia. Don't know what that character is.
Well, because it's a falcon for the
you gotta
for the
match
Falcon
them up.
supervillain. It just matches up, you know.
No, I get this. I get the
Lady
story.
Falcona's familiar, Ryan. It's obvious.
Ryan
Come
has
on.
spent more time thinking about these characters than the people that wrote this. But he's like, where did this come from?
That is entirely true. I can assure you.
You want to know what I thought when they did those? I love those little intro pages, you know, where it's like shows the character and then like the comic book character behind it.
Yes.
Now look, I may have been reading this when I was quite tired and or in an altered state, but
Cocaine.
maybe. I don't want to, I'm not playing your game fast, but you have a list of the villain pets right in
Yes.
front of you, Ryan.
Yes.
Can you just say their names in a low,
Okay.
raspy voice?
And make it as epic as possible.
Yeah.
Ready.
Hey. Vulture Von Doom, Thori, Falcona, Mikolai, Tiger Wild, the Attack Tiger, Huddles the Python,
Cuddles the python. I forgot about that one.
and Bitey McSpiderbite.
Listeners,
Yeah.
you can tell this comic was written for me and me only by the names of the villain.
It definitely sounds like someone was trying to rebrand the Kama Sutra for comic book geeks. Like each of those villain names sounds like a weird position. That is what went through my head. Like, and you're like, going
Cuddles.
through-
Cuddles
yes,
exclamation
exactly.
mark.
Cuddles.
And then all of a
sounds the
sudden
most
it gets this
platonic.
Spidey McBite bite. And
Tiger
you're like,
Wild. Yeah. Falconia. Thori, though.
look,
Yikes.
you just think
Spidey
harder.
McSpidey bite. Oh my god.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I got to get to the Doctor Doom line here because it happens off panel, and the Vulture is, you know, he's going into classic Doom style dialogue or monologue, I guess. When the Pet Avengers thwart him, the Akanti Blubber Ale gets blown up. And that's the kind of the thing that incites the fight. So Rocket's already pissed that his beer is now gone and it's destroyed. And at the end of the fight, all of the Doom soldiers, they show up and they break everything up. The Pet Avengers hightail it out of there via Lockjaw. And then over the radio waves, they hear Dr. Doom say about Vulture Von Doom, curse that infernal animal, stick it in a cage. I'll deal with it later, once and for all. And then we get a very over the top gulp from Vulture Von Doom. So is he just gonna like straight up kill him because this Vulture has been, you know, hiding out in his basement for this long?
I think he's going to reward him for trying to make a cosmic cube. I think that the once and for all means that he's now his partner in crime. And in 2016, when those comics come out, we're going to see Doom with a vulture on his shoulder. That's my guess, listeners. It's 2015 right now. Bodie McBoatface, just a twinkle in somebody's eye. Yeah.
It's 2015 right now.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities ahead of us.
Thor Ragnarok comes out in 2 years. You guys excited?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's gonna be so good.
Isn't that nice though? Like thinking about that, where you're anticipating a movie and then it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good times. Right.
Wow. Faz.
This is much
Faz's
too
heart
positive of
hurts.
a podcast for this kind of slander.
Okay, well,
Mr. Trip.
here's a hot take. Vulture Von Doom, like, you remember Nutsy and Trigger from Robin Hood, the cartoon?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the same character's playing Vulture Von Doom because it looks like Nutsy and Trigger.
He does.
with a metal mask on his face, and that's why
Oh
I
my
was never
gosh.
really worried, because Nutsy and Trigger, safety on all, you know, you remember they can't do anything successfully. No one's gonna get by me, Sheriff. Oh, nobody. Like that is
This is
once
spot
he
on.
looked like Nutsy and Trigger, I'm like, this is who this is. There's nothing bad that can happen. Why can't they just give Rocket and Cosmo the beer back and they go have some fun? Like, what have Nutsy and Trigger successfully done?
You keep saying Nazi
Enable
and trigger, and I
escape.
still feel like we're still talking about the Kama Sutra. I'm like, what are we still talking about?
Oh, Nutsy and Trigger.
Look, just because
As
that one
Vulture
run
Von
of Simonson was
Doom.
horny doesn't mean it's all horny.
Faz, I just recorded Simonson Saga Part 5.
Oh,
and
heck yeah.
It gets raunchier.
Good.
It gets straight up like Lorelei turns into a dominatrix for an entire issue.
Oh, that
It's-
is fantastic.
That's great.
It gets saucy.
Is it your favorite issue you've ever read, Ryan? Question.
Oh, totally, without question.
Good.
Without
good.
But
question.
did you read the whole thing in one sitting, or did you have to come back to it?
It took him 4 trip. It took him 4 sittings.
That's what I was
can't-
thinking.
I cannot lean too far into that joke.
I love being
Okay.
guests on other people's podcasts.
Yeah, because you get to burn the place to the ground and then just
Yeah, and
leave.
I don't have to edit. Look,
Oh, there's no editing here. The listeners are getting all this.
Yeah,
Trip,
this
don't
is-
worry. Yeah.
This will not be edited, and listeners are like, maybe consider editing. I don't know. This is maybe a thought.
Why
No,
did I
no,
listen to
at-
this
at-
episode
at-
on the way to school with my kids, taking them to school out in
Yeah.
the car?
Oh, it's about superheroes, and they read a kid's
And
comic.
Pet Avengers, it has to be a kid thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
you're like
God.
Pet Avengers.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
We get to the end. If Rocket gets new beer from the Pet Avengers because they like him. He
New beer.
doesn't want to admit that he likes them. And Throg's there the entire way. He electrocutes a spider. I think we should move on to our Guardians volume.
Yeah.
3. Faz, is that enough reparations for what
the-
I forced
The
you?
last thing I want to say is that this cute little Vulture Von Doom is so embarrassed when they unmask him like a Scooby-Doo villain because he thinks that vultures are hideous. And Rocket goes, dude, you're a vulture.
Sure.
What did you expect? I think that's
course you're-
hilarious. That's my last thought on it. Yeah.
Your face looks
Rockets
like
like substitutes for the F bomb. It reminded me of
Harkin.
Battlestar Galactica, where they're like
Yes.
frack. But
Yeah.
I was like, impressive, Rocket.
And I
Flerken?
think I think they stole that from Battlestar. I think they were started using that in the like Guardians universe, like post Battlestar. So I think that's where they got it.
Oh, really?
If you're gonna make
Yeah.
a statement like that, you got to Google it, like I googled the Bodie
Yeah.
McBoat face.
Yeah.
Will.
Or
You,
somebody
you,
else
you
did
can't
Or-
just
or as Faz calls it, you got to do your research.
Or a listener or listener Prime can do it for us. And
That's
get that.
true.
Berserker. Let
Have you
us
asked the AI if Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
Oh no.
All right,
wait, where's Where's the mute button on this thing? Oh gosh.
Trip's been uninvited. Yeah.
Everybody.
Will is correct. Frack comes from Battlestar Galactica.
Okay. Hey,
Boom.
there we go. Our
Boom.
I feel like Faz should just graduate to our being our producer.
Right.
I am Listener Prime.
Always have been. It was just a ruse. Everybody, we're going to take a brief break, and then we're going to be back with our breakdown of Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3.
Hey everybody, it's Faz here for the Patreon sting, so you know it's going to be a lot more unhinged than when Ryan does it. As you guys know, we're trying to do a lot around here. We're actually hoping to get together at a Comic-Con at some point, so if enough of you guys join, that would mean the world to Will, Ryan, and I, so we can try to have a panel going. No pressure on that. We love you for listening, and thank you so much for being around. One thing to sweeten the pot for you, though. If you hate Trip, and you don't want him back on the pod because he's just too sexy for us, then you can join and tell us no Trip, man. Or if you love him, you love the guy, he's even a Patreon, he's a patron for us. If you love him, you want him back more, you join and you tell us, bring that guy back, and we'll bring him in. So you know what, that's Ryan's on mute. I actually broke his mic so that I can do this myself, and that's all I got for you. We have a Listener Prime now. It's amazing. Feel free to get a second one. We'll make a chat with me. You guys can have so much fun, and we love you guys, so thanks so much for your support. Hey everybody, it's Faz here for the Patreon sting, so you know it's going to be a lot more unhinged than when Ryan does it. As you guys know, we're trying to do a lot around here. We're actually hoping to get together at a Comic-Con at some point, so if enough of you guys join, that would mean the world to Will, Ryan, and I, so we can try to have a panel going. No pressure on that. We love you for listening, and thank you so much for being around. One thing to sweeten the pot for you, though. If you hate Trip, and you don't want him back on the pod because he's just too sexy for us, then you can join and tell us tell us no Trip, man. Or if you love him, you love the guy. He's even a Patreon. He's a patron for us. If you love him, you want him back more, you join and you tell us, bring that guy back, and we'll bring him in. So you know what? That's Ryan's on mute. I actually broke his mic so that I can do this myself, and that's all I got for you. We have a listener prime now. It's amazing. Feel free to get a second one. We'll make a chat with me. You guys can have so much fun, and we love you guys. So thanks so much for your support.
Okay, everybody, we are back from our Patreon sting. That we're back. I was sequestered in the corner while Faz and Trip took over the Patreon sting. So we're back to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the latest movie in the MCU and the last Guardians movie that I believe we're done. I believe the trilogy is complete and we're done. James Gunn's last MCU movie before he goes off and, I don't know, does something somewhere else. I haven't heard much about what James Gunn's doing these days. Yeah. So everybody, we are going to jump in with just one question after we give a brief synopsis. We're going to go to Faz first, and so you'll have that to look forward to. Brief synopsis of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
And there will be spoilers. There will be big spoilers. Yeah. This is a spoiler podcast. We're going to spoil the hell of it, and Ryan almost ruined a bunch of your days, and I'm not going to let that happen to you. It's spoilers. Pause and come back after you subscribe to Patreon.
You've done this to me every movie we've done together because I always forget to do the spoiler.
You always forget. Thank God I am around, or you're going to get some very angry listeners.
Otherwise, people would be like, "Are you telling me that a synopsis of this movie will give me the plot lines?"
They'll be stunned. That's what a synopsis is. Okay, spoilers. Here we go. We start off in nowhere where the Guardians are just kind of doing their own thing. They're still kind of figuring out where they are as a team, as individuals after Endgame, and most of the events surrounding Gamora in the Infinity War Endgame saga. We learn that Rocket has a fail-safe kind of explosive device inside of him, put there by his creator, the High Evolutionary. A being called Warlock shows up to take Rocket back to Counter-Earth, where High Evolutionary is, and they fight off Warlock, but they have to find a way to turn off this kill switch that is inside of Rocket. So they go here, they go there, they go everywhere, and it leads them to a conflict with Rocket's creator, the High Evolutionary. And a big, massive space battle ensues. Counter-Earth is destroyed, and our Guardians they're processing so much. They all end up at the end of the battle alive, which I didn't really see coming. And then they all, in their own way, they depart. There's a new Guardians team afterwards, but a lot of our main characters depart the team, and there's a lot involved in this film. We're going to try to keep our thoughts somewhat succinct, but we're going to throw to Faz for Will is not confident in the succinctness that I promise. Faz, we'll start off with our first question. What was your favorite part about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
I'm going to give two answers. Listeners who have been here for our movie reviews know I tend to want to do two to hedge my bets a bit. The first favorite part is the playlist. I went all the way through on the playlist with this one, folks. I listened to it when it first was released from Disney, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. It's not as good as 2 and 1, but it's pretty good. Listened to it again and was like, yeah, this is pretty good. Watched the movie, and I was like, God damn, this is the best one by far. Oh, my God. And I listened to it straight constantly for the next 3 or 4 days, and I'm still listening to it all the time now. So the playlist, James Gunn.
Space Hog.
Man,
Meantime, great song.
Meantime, great song. No Sleep Till Brooklyn used perfectly.
Yeah.
San Francisco was a sleeper hit for me. That one's my favorite of the whole album. I didn't even know what it was. Oh my God. So that one. The other thing that's my favorite was the oneer. The 3-minute hallway fight that is shot as if it's all in one take, because every hero got a chance to shine in a way that usually they all get one moment in a movie. It's almost never 3 minutes straight where they're all doing it back to back to back to back. James Gunn knows action, and he freaking nailed it there.
Boom.
Perfect. Two perfectly well said things, and two things I hadn't really thought of yet, Faz, for my favorite things of the film. Trip, you're our honored guest. What was your favorite part, or some of your favorite parts of Guardians 3?
Okay. Now I was anticipating nerdy conversation about this. So
Okay.
here are the 3 questions the movie raised that I was like, oh, hell yeah. One, the movie is an exploration about like in the Enlightenment, part of what humanity did is it generates knowledge of nature, and not just to relate to nature, but to control nature. You can see this in a lot of late modern like types of fiction about like mechanism, control of nature, and all this kind of stuff. But the control of nature here generates a hubris that wants to move beyond nature, where it now creates a context for itself. And it ultimately problematizes it by what? Rocket Raccoon, who resists the option of androcentrism, his like that he now cultivates this deep kind of consciousness, like where he's participating in linguistic symbolic relations with humans. He resists it. And then what happens at the end? Like the moment where it moves from, oh, they're not all going to die, but then like this, where he's like, I'm not leaving without these other creatures. Right, where the high evolutionary is sitting there like, I'm going to create an alter Earth, one that's perfect, and all that kind of stuff. Like it is this beautiful picture, and it's wrestling with the biggest questions we're facing today. When you ask the questions of what we're thinking about with AI, most people are freaking out about it. I've had a lot of students, because I've lectured on it for years in science and religion classes, be like, can I get that video of your lecture? Blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like now having these questions. But we have to ask ourselves, what happens when we create technology? Technology recreates what it means to be human. From the time we externalized our stomach by cooking with fire and so on. But now we got to this place that now we've created something that can do computation we can't know, right? That's what the high evolutionary asks when Rocket Raccoon is able to fix a problem that he's created that he doesn't know. And what is pissing him off is the same question a lot of us are about to ask about AI. Like, we created something that fixes something we don't know, and now we want to possess it because we can't imagine a relationship to the world where we're not in control and possess all the power. The high evolutionary is the person that is sitting there as a neoliberal capitalist Westerner wanting to possess all the knowledge and all the situation and going like, we have to have it, we have to have it. What happens when that logic ultimately turns in on itself? You end up with the person closest to you that believed your story, right? The one that ultimately it shoots him at the end, his sidekick, going like, you aren't even doing what we're doing anymore. Like the film, even though, like, my favorite thing is the friendship part of all the members, the relationship of Gamora and Star-Lord and stuff. But when I think of this movie, like, why I liked it is that in the others, the big questions that get raised are not the big question of our cultural anxiety in the moment. This time it was, and I just think that's awesome. The fact that Rocket doesn't just like possess his place among the, in scare quotes, humanoid conscious types, but wants to then include other living forms, and the destruction of human hubris to control destroys the alternative Earth, means in some sense, I think what James Gunn's getting at is going like, why do we're all sitting here looking at real problems we face, and you want the guardians of the galaxy to be the ones that help us escape, like the high evolutionary. What if, like, the most beautiful thing you can do is find a soundtrack that inspires you to have deep relationships with your friends, and then build deep community across all the difference that were there, so that we can rally together to face the real problems. And if these giant collection of like Noah's Ark on a flying space pirate skull ship can do it, then maybe we could do it with Earth, because we actually already know it sustained life for millions of years. And it was brilliant. I love the first 2 movies. This is by far the best. And I wasn't anticipating it, enjoying it that much. But like, I just want to say, if you ask me other reasons I love the movie, I'll give them. But the biggest is it named the biggest cultural anxieties that are showing up and offered one where we don't get escape as a solution. We actually get deeper solidarity as a people. and not just across difference of the species, but we get like our non-human natures or our non-human neighbors as what we find solidarity in, and we find solidarity in the place from which we came. And it ends with Star-Lord re-embracing where he came from, and the invitation to all of us on a planet that is fascinated with people, hashtag Elon Musk, that think the only solution is escaping, is that no, re-attend to your place, have deep solidarity and friendship. And what is the biggest power we have as guardians? It's guardians like Rocket, not just of the life that you have immediate access to, but all life that's around you. When you become guardians of all life, you become guardians of a future for the life you have and your grandkids. And I'm just like, hell yeah, James Gunn. If he has that kind of power, then I might actually read a DC comic. You know?
I have two thoughts. Firstly, I'm certain listeners that at least half of what Tripp just said was English. And secondly, in all seriousness, Tripp, I agree with you entirely. This one, part of what makes it so good is just how many deeper meanings and deeper thoughts that James put into this, and how timely it is, given that it was written and filmed before AI took the big jump that it did. And the fact that he was so prescient about it, that this could have easily been, if AI jumped 5 years from now, they could have said, wow, James Gunn saw it coming then. But instead it happened right at kind of the perfect time as we're grappling with these issues and starting to really think critically about them. And that just, it enhances the movie to the nth degree.
I also have two thoughts about the not a TED Talk, the Trip Talk we just got. Listeners, I defy you to go find a review of this movie that was half as academic as that.
Yeah.
Second thing, Trip didn't have to go that hard, and he did. And Trip, you've had how many beers?
I treated preparation for this like Rocket Raccoon treats surveillance.
Listeners, he can't even say the word significantly because he's drank so much, but he was still able to bang out that extremely detailed analysis.
As he said,
I did put it on
I
a
don't even know what
post-it
that
before we
means.
started.
Like, I gotta stop bringing academics on this podcast.
This is like the third time, Ryan, they've made us look really bad.
Nathan Gilmour, banned. Tripp Fuller, banned.
We just need them coming more. It's gonna make us smarter each time.
I was gonna say all that with my take, but Tripp went first. So
Yeah,
I was like, damn it. You beat me.
I tried to undercut Will with Tripp going second.
Dang it.
So Will likes the colors and the sounds. That's all.
Yeah,
I have a page of notes. I was ready to go hard. But
Will.
Now I'm
go
just gonna
hard on the
say,
notes
wasn't
then.
that cool? Now I'm gonna say, wasn't that cool when Cosmo like saved everybody and like brought like did that? That was cool.
Will, what were your favorite parts of the movie then?
No, I will say too, like I felt that at the beginning of the movie, I came in with a little bit of anxiety. I knew this was James Gunn's last movie. What is he going to do to close it out? How many people are going to die? What's he going to do to the MCU? Now he's going to watch it all burn and move on to the DCU. What is he going to do with these characters? I came in with some of that kind of geek anxiety, right? Well, about like the first like 30 minutes, I was like, oh, the plot line is really simple. It's just we're going to save Rocket's life. That's the plot. We're going to save Rocket's life.
Yeah.
But wrapped around this kind of simple plot that we're going to save Rocket is, Rocket's backstory, the nature of friendship and family. And then you have like the whole like playing God, evil scientist, Dr. Moreau, kind of things going on, transhumanism, experimentation, all that kind of stuff. So as a minister, often when ministers are in Hollywood or on a TV show, I feel like I'm like, oh crap, I feel like I have to go to the defense and be like, hey y'all, not all like ministers on TV are jerks or assholes, In this one, I felt the flip side. Like here's like a scientist, a high evolutionary going, I'm like, hey y'all, not all scientists are like this. There's some who want to do well. Vaccines are cool. Like, all right, we want to, I have a continuous glucose monitor thing on my arm to help track my blood sugar. Like I'm half cyborg right now, like it's not all bad. Like, all right, y'all, what's going on? So I felt like I need to go to defense that like on all sides, but all that wrapped up to this beautiful story of friendship and family. So all those things, the soundtrack, the special effects, the battles, the tension, it all comes down to one of the things we'll get to it later about Warlock was that like I was a little disappointed at the beginning that Warlock was so like treated as a joke, but by the end of the movie, he learned and grew by understanding and watching them, learning from this group what it means to be a friend, what it means to be family, and that's where his kind of higher level of consciousness or growth came from by watching others do it and practice it in their own lives, and that's what brought him around to be who he was going to become and the hero he is going to be for the next Guardians team. So watching all that develop what's happened. And let me just say real fast. Yeah, Cosmo was great. The saving people, the space arc, the backstory, all that was fantastic. But in my theater, when I saw it the first time, I posted this on Instagram. Right when they hit play on No Sleep Till Brooklyn and they all kind of lined up in slow-mo, the movie theater shut down and it went all dark and lost electricity. And then it brought back up the lights, but there was no screen. All we could do was hear the movie, not see it because it was broken. And so I heard the hallway fight scene happening rather than watching it. I was like, what is going on right now? Should I leave the
Were you going to
theater?
jump theaters?
Stay? Yes. I was like, should I stay here and listen to this? What is going on? So eventually, like, we all walked out in the hallway and they were like, sorry, we had technical difficulties. There's a power surge. The whole theater's down. If you want a free ticket, you can go home or you can stick around. Maybe we'll get it fixed. And I was like, all right, Cindy, we're sticking around. I'm going to stay here to see this thing happen. And so eventually they got it back up and going. And I stayed for that hallway scene. And I will say that hallway scene is peak MCU fight. Like, I'm so glad I didn't leave and wait for that because that was one of the most epic feats of cinema that I've seen in a long time. So, that's where I am.
Well, and I hope that we're able to parse out a few more things from the film as we jump into our next questions. But I just wanted to my two favorite parts, because I'll stick with Faz's theme here. I love that every character got their own form of closure. It wasn't the team got closure of like, we as a team defeated the latest villain in our long line of villains. Okay, let's all go home, now. I love that at the end of the movie, we see this shift, this relationship shift, this emotional shift of characters understanding who they are within the context of the Guardians. And then at the end, we see their desire to become individuals outside of the context of the Guardians. We see Mantis wanting to know who she is, but not because she's a Guardian, but because she is discovering who she is. Not with ego, not with, Drax and the rest of them. We see Peter go back and really do a brave, courageous thing of not even knowing if his grandfather is alive anymore. And going back and opening himself up to maybe some pain, maybe a good reunion. Maybe his grandfather doesn't even have a recollection of him because he's so old. But that moment where his grandfather just sits up and he said, "Peter," like, oh my gosh, the tears for days. We see Drax. Drax's form of closure was the one that hit me the most because, and just on a personal level, I've been a Dave Bautista fan since the early days of him wrestling. I've loved Bautista for so long, and I never thought, as the most optimistic fan of his work, I've never thought he would have this much chops in a movie where he is painted up like an alien, and another cyborg alien is telling him that he's a dumbass and that he doesn't add anything to the team, and then he does the most in-character thing of being a father to essentially damaged orphans. He provides the father figure that they need, but he also is able to rediscover his own fatherhood in the end of that movie. I was bawling at the end of that. Like, I understand there's a lot of different points of this movie you could be emotionally you could draw emotion from. That was the one where I was like, oh my gosh, Drax gets to be a dad again. That's the whole reason why he was going after Ronan in the first movie. And now we see that come full circle. Drax gets his closure and the circle is complete with his story. I loved that as a small version of that bigger, thing of everybody got their own form of closure. I loved that. It felt complete. It felt whole. And
I'm with you. Like when he changed the playlist from 1990s to 2000s, and they started playing like Florence and the Machine, and then people started dancing. Like, oh, Drax is gonna start dancing now. Drax is gonna dance, and when he starts dancing, I'm gonna cry. And the minute when he started dancing with all the kids right now, I was just like tears rolling. Oh, so good.
It's yeah. So that was my favorite part. I think we should just spend a few minutes.
Can I ask you a follow-up real quick, Ryan?
Yeah. What's up?
Okay, so about that, the relationship of Drax and the kids, you know, that are, well, I guess we don't know completely the backstory, but I guess they're part of the High Evolutionaries agenda of sorts. You know, underneath that was this bit where almost everyone saw Drax as the muscle.
Yeah.
And he actually knew how to communicate to the children who were a part of this oppressive system with an agenda that didn't dignify their own humanity, but you know what I mean, like
right,
their own individual consciousness and value.
Yeah.
And there's this bit where you have multiple characters at different points go like, oh, like there's this other ability you have. And one of the things I loved about those is you saw these characters who were like superheroes, super powerful.
Yeah.
Part of this giant team. And they like literally hang out on a ship together all the time. I have no idea what it would be like to live on a ship together all the time, but you know, it's like the only equivalent is what I learned that I never knew I had to learn about my family members in lockdown, you know, and
right.
And they're learning these new things just because they were in a situation where parts of the universe they hadn't encountered before encountered one of their people, like their chosen family of sorts as the Guardians. And I think that is a regular challenge that we have. Like one of the tasks in a multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multi-different centers of meaning world that we're in, as we get more and more connected, right? One of the habits that we are, well, at least I hope most of us listening want to resist is let's gain power by tribalizing around centers that define ourselves by being against these others. Right. And one of the habits the Guardians constantly resist, right, in volume 1 and volume 2 is who are we? They draw these boundaries. Like, do we include this person or what? Like, right. Part of Guardians 1 to Guardians 2 that sets up the whole Infinity War saga thing is like, are our boundaries even porous enough to cooperate with these other superheroes? Are we able to engage this other story without our personal story? And Star-Lord's whole role, right, is like I can't even separate my love for Gamora from this other thing, right? So we all have these experiences where like, what's my role in all these different Venn diagrams or layers of relations? And what's overlooked that the whole thing becomes a giant tragedy is if Drax, the one no one expects anything but, I guess, sitting still in a corner, pretending not to be seen, and giant muscles, actually is able to understand those that are caged up and oppressed. Now, if you just say it that way and then go, oh, I wonder if our own humanity would be better if we took seriously someone who offered opportunities to us that we had ignored before, but actually have the ability to hear and communicate on behalf of the caged up and oppressed. Like that is a whole nother level of this story that I think you raised, and I just think it's beautiful. No one is against what Drax does, and yet a lot of us have attachments to our tribes and our identities where if the people on the other side, their experience needs to be validated and in order to move to something beautiful, We don't know how to hear. Drax does. And that makes me ask, as like a super nerd, like, I mean, PhD and postdoc and multiple things, and like Barry and like super, like what do I not get? Because I pre-filter everything through my, scare quote superpowers. Am I just like the rest of the Guardians who didn't realize that the real superpower they needed wasn't his muscle? It was they actually knew how to understand the oppressed. I bet the church would do better off if we understood the oppressed. I bet America would do better off if we understood the oppressed. I bet most of global political situations would do better if we took seriously the lived experience of a lot of people that we're blind to because we think we're superheroes. And Drax is the one with connection to the people on the underside.
Yeah.
This is why this movie is so much better than the rest of the MCU, even though I personally really dig Winter Soldier the best. But that is unrelated to the fact that, like, if you ask me the one that's content is the best, this one I think does the best job of raising, especially for Americans, the kind of questions we're uncomfortable asking, because it might mean that Drax is closer to the situation. So if you're like me, a like Bernie bro leftist Christian, there are a lot of people closer to the underside of our economic situation than me and the people that voted for him. You know what I mean? Anyway, you get what I'm saying.
That's something that Tripp said, and that's something that's really special about this movie. Most superhero movies, the more you think about it, the more the cracks begin to show, the more that you think, maybe this was just a fun spectacle, maybe it wasn't a great, deep movie. The more you think about this one, the more special it gets and the deeper it gets. And that's something that I think most of the Guardians movies are like that. Certainly 1 and 3 are, 2 is to a degree. And that's something that really elevates this from just being an amazing superhero movie to being a really special cinematic experience.
And how did
we count the Christmas special?
100% we do. That's peak cinema right there. Kevin Bacon in the MCU. Come on.
Let's just be honest.
One thing, Will, I just got to say this. Like, I've said this, before. I've said it. I will say it in the future. Like, academics come on here. Smart people come on here. I'm here for the silly shit. So the Christmas special definitely counts. Will, let's you look like you were gonna say something, then we'll get
I was just gonna say how the whole journey started in volume 1. The first movie was like a goofy guy dancing, right? And how did it end? A goofy guy Drax dancing, and why was he free to dance? It's because as Tripp was saying, it was someone calling him his true nature out by saying, "You're a dad. I saw you as a joke, but now you see you as a dad." And him coming to realization who he is, he was then able to be free enough to dance freely, like everyone's watching. He wasn't scared about all that. So I again, all that stuff about Drax is fantastic, and I love the bookends of it. Started with somebody dancing, and then it ended with the dance party, everyone together. One single person dancing, and then it ended with a dance party, everyone dancing together.
I love the symmetry, the storytelling symmetry of that. But let's jump to kind of the wrap up. But like, was there anything else from this movie that stuck out to you, positive, negative, and then kind of your final thoughts on leaving the Guardians trilogy? I know there's a lot in that question, but pick and choose whatever you want to take from it. Faz, we're gonna get to you first, man.
Hey, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
All 3 of my kids are now currently awake again.
Oh my.
So can I tell you one thing so I can attempt to help, because I just got the partner intervention.
Oh, hey, I understand. Totally understand.
I know.
Speaking of dads.
You know that moment where you're like, did you give them the melatonin gummy?
Oh,
but
our house runs on melatonin.
Okay.
From sad God to dad God.
But here's the here's my like one other thought is I understand, knowing in the next few phases of the MCU that like this group, in order to do what they need to do, right, like for their big stories, they can't all be together. But if they don't offer in 5 years volume 4, to James Gunn and the cast, I'll be a little bit disappointed
Hmm.
because one of the things that our culture doesn't do well is know how to age. And this is one of the reasons I'm a giant Kevin Smith fan, but Clerks 3 was such a beautiful movie is because it actually explores what happens when you know you're in the second half of life and your friends actually face death and this kind of thing. And we went into this thinking, oh, there was gonna, who's gonna die and blah 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 blah. And obviously what we may have anticipated didn't happen. But Guardians has this ability, unlike the other kind of like tent poles of sorts for the MCU, where the friendship heartstrings are not just between individual characters, right? Like, oh, Vision and the Scarlet Witch, or these kind of things like, oh, the Winter Soldier and Cap or whatever, but it's just a community. And it can grow and change, right? It even included Thor. And I'm looking forward to at whatever point Thor shows back up with part of it. And
who knows when that'll be.
and that kind of thing. But I feel like there is a different kind of maturity to a community when they know they are each other's and they wouldn't know each other without each other, and they show back up again after distance. And when I think of the kind of pressures put on friendships in our age, like everyone, like if you ask someone like, oh, who are your friends in grade school or how you moved? Who are your friends in college or grad school or your first job or these things? We have these like clusters of friendships. But the best gift you get is like the Warriors 3. You know what I mean? Like where the people that hang and roll with you through those things. And sometimes you hang out with each other a lot. And sometimes you hang out with each other on the right time when you were in the same airport or you're at the same event or at the same Comic-Con because everyone signed up to be a part of the Thor Corps, or you're like, or whatever.
Oh, not that chestnut again.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? But the thing, like the cherry on top, because I think everyone knows that Volume 3 is my favorite by far, would be like, what is the Guardians of the Galaxy version of the Grey Havens in Lord of the Rings? Like when Bilbo, like, gives this story off, right, to Frodo, and it's like, oh, here's the Red Book of March, and you're going to write your story or whatever. And then we get Lord of the Rings and all this kind of stuff. And then you get like, wow, there's this giant story, which is my favorite book of all time after, like, I guess Jesus. But, but then there's this moment it actually gets handed off to Sam. And if you are close to Lord of the Rings, like one of the most beautiful sections is that Sam, Merry, and Pippin and Gandalf are there when Frodo takes his last ride right over, unless you get the unpublished works for eventually Sam ends up over there. Now, that's such a beautiful thing, and it actually is the real cherry on top. The friendships mean something different when the person can't tell their story completely without them. And this movie ends where all these different friendships are like these new variations. All three movies will feel completely different if there's a time where those friendships are rekindled, where that depth is already there.
Yeah.
And that is how you get the conclusion. And so, to me, like, I get the trilogy part. I get they have this larger agenda. But if you're just a Guardians fan, that's like saying, like, I'm a Fellowship fan. Like, are you pumped if you love Lord of the Rings that, like, eventually Legolas and Gimli hang out in the Undying Lands? Are you excited that after the battle for the War of the Rings that they, like, go into the caverns of Helm's Deep together and then go hang out in really old forest together and then show back up in the Undying? That's amazing. Like, there is this level of deep vulnerability and friendship that you get in the Guardians that you only get in pairs anywhere else in the MCU. And in this story, because it's a Rocket story, which a lot of people in the volume 1 is like a minority character, like, oh, it's a side character. All of a sudden, his origin story is something everyone, and Star-Lord most of all, refuses to be a guardian without acknowledging it.
Yeah.
That makes me think, if in 7 years Guardians 4 shows up, like that could be a cherry. And you're just like, oh, it's like reading the Grey Havens in Lord of the Rings. You're like, Sam clings to Frodo and starts crying. And he never says all he needed to say. Why? Well, I mean, yeah, you got the masculine thing, like masculine to masculine. Oh, what are you going to do with this? But also, what if it's not possible? What if there's like a deep friendship just between people, not because they're romantic, but just because they deeply love each other and don't know their own identity without each other? That's why I hope there's 4. Now I'm going to go put my kids to bed because apparently they all woke up.
Okay.
I like the idea of a reunion where like a holiday special, you have the holiday special, but then you have like another like kind of hour-long reunion on Disney Plus where they get together and share their stories.
That would be sick. Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I'll edit this part out. Faz, I know we're 3 minutes past when you have to go. Do you want to even delve into your final?
I'll give 5 seconds just so that the listeners have it. Yeah.
So everybody, we're going to get to our final thoughts, and then Will and I are going to take us home. We are losing cast members rapidly. So we're going to get Faz's final thoughts. We got Tripp's whole, TED Talk about everything. Faz, take it away. Final thoughts.
Listeners, I've just been hit by one of Hela's necro swords. One of the Warriors 3 is going down. But before I go, James Gunn landed the plane, and like Tripp said, it's one of the most familial feeling, one of the most kindred spirits feeling stories that we've gotten in the MCU, one of the most emotional ones, and it's just incredibly well done. Mic drop.
Boom.
Okay, Will, I guess it's up to you and me.
Yeah, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
All right. So you even did a deep dive on Warlock, right?
We did, yeah.
Not too long ago. What were your thoughts? We were so looking forward to Warlock in this movie. We got him. He's flying in at the beginning. What was your thoughts from like the beginning and your emotional roller coaster through the movie and how he's portrayed to the very end, where he ended up at the end credit scene?
So I said this on another podcast. Some friends of ours had me on their show to talk about this exact question. And here's my preamble to this is I've gotten to the point in life and with my fandoms where I don't dwell on things as much as I used to. If something doesn't meet my headcanon expectations, I'm just going to let it go now. Because headcanon is so hard. It's so hard to go into with expectations. And Warlock is a fan favorite, kind of a cult favorite character, because he's not an A-level character. I would say at times he was a B-level character in the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Watch, that kind of stuff. But he hasn't been a Marvel mainstay character for a while now. So it's not surprising that there is a lack of awareness about the character.
Right.
I enjoy Will Poulter. I enjoy him in just about everything he's in. So I like the actor. I like the character. And I think I came away with this movie being like, okay, James Gunn put his James Gunn filter on a character that was teased forever ago and should have been used. If they were going to use him, they should have used him with the Infinity Gauntlet. Right. They should have used, like, this is not a thing of like, well, was he perfectly fully developed in this movie? Of course not. Of course he wasn't.
Right.
Like, he was never going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much of Adam's story is related to the Infinity Gauntlet. It's related to Thanos. It's related to all of those elements that we've already used. So it's like, where's the upward mobility for this character? I don't know. I didn't know going in. I thought maybe it'd be cool. Like, oh man, are we going to get the Magus or the Universal Church of Truth? Are we going to get those kind of elements of his story? Oh man, that'd be really cool, really sick. but we know he is a side character in a story with the Guardians, and it felt like we ran out of runway with him. It's like there wasn't really a place to fit him into this movie. And I would have liked to have seen something different for him, but I totally understand why we got what we got. I'm not sitting here dumbfounded and pissed, wanting to cancel my Disney Plus subscription because they ruined my childhood. I'm not sitting here doing that. I get why we got what we got. I wish we would have gotten him at a different time, but we didn't. We're not going to. So, I like Will Poulter. I love the attire we got from him. I love the look of the character a lot. And yeah, I think the fact that he's in the new Guardians team gives me a little bit of like, okay, they could do something. They could come back and do something. And that is great. Like, I love the idea that no, he was not fully developed in this movie. How could he be? Like, he was barely used and he was a side character. But the fact that he's a part of the new Guardians, with Phil Lavelle, by the way, so cool. It gives me that hope of like, okay, they could come back around to Warlock, and we might be able to see him grow as a character somewhere down the road, and give the character that breathing room that we've given so many other characters in the MCU, but for some reason, nerds don't want to give Warlock that treatment.
I agree with you. Beginning of the movie, I was like, oh man, what are we doing with him? That's not how how I thought we were going to use his character. I don't know if I like it. But by the time you get to the end, seeing him grow by watching the Guardians and how they interact with one another, how they love one another, how they sacrifice for one another, their friendship, their family, how they fight with one another, not fighting because they don't like each other. They fight each other only because of how deep their love is for one another.
Right.
And so who do you fight with the most? Those you love deepest.
Those you love the most.
Those you love the most. So here he is watching this happen, and that's where he grows. That's, I thought it was brilliantly done. It was like, all right, we have run out of runway. He probably should have been in another movie. What are we going to do with this character? I don't know quite what to do. Well, he's going to watch the Guardians, and he's going to learn by watching them how they live and love and fight with one another.
Yeah.
Out of there is their friendship. And so there he's developed enough to where he then could become a part of the new Guardians of the Galaxy. And I was like, yeah, that's where he ends up. Yeah, that's awesome. And then later on down the road, if they want to pick him up and use him a different way, or do another kind of let the new Guardians be a part of another superhero movie to come in and help. I love that, because he still has a lot to learn, but him learning across this story, I thought was pretty
it further highlights one of the main themes of the Guardians movies, this idea of found family.
Yep.
All of them have family baggage, or for Warlock, he was created. Rocket, he was created, or he was remade. Peter loses his mom, gets abducted from Earth. Drax loses his family. Nebula is torn apart. Routinely, Gamora's family is killed in Thanos's galaxy-wide genocide. We don't really know about Groot, but we assume Groot came from some kind of trauma or tragedy as well. Kraglin loses Yondu, who's kind of his surrogate father, along with Peter. This whole entire trilogy has this theme of found family in it. And at the end, we get this beautiful display of family coming together, but also going out from each other. They've been strengthened, they've been healed, they've been made whole by coming together. But now that they are healed, whole, and healthy, they can go out and then find their identity apart from the whole. But they all kind of like what Tripp was saying. We always have the whole to come back to.
Yeah,
we always have that. And we're gonna, I don't know how to. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably a more philosophical, analytical approach to Guardians than you were expecting today. But I hope you feel like you got your money's worth. Will and I are going to land the plane here.
I got one more thing to suggest to our there. On my other podcast, This is My Geekology, we do recommendations, and I don't know if we talked about this in terms of the primer, but there was a 1985 4-issue comic, Rocket Raccoon, which is a limited series written by this is who's it by? But the art is by Mike Mignola of
Oh wow, no slouch.
and so it is the most trippy, weird comic you've probably ever written in your entire life. But in this comic, you have Lila, you have Teef, you have the walrus, and they're hanging out together, and that's where you kind of get introduced. So if you want more of these characters, and just kind of the shenanigans of these animals together with Rocket, Lila, and the walrus. But he has got like robotic teeth in this comic. He screws in his robotic teeth. But it is absolutely nutballs bonkers, but also the art's incredible, and you get into these characters. So it's one of the I guess Rocket debuted in Marvel Preview number 7 in '76 as a backup story, and then he was Incredible Hulk and go things. But then he had this limited series, and then later on brought in Guardians of the Galaxy. But if you want to go back on your Marvel Unlimited app or go hunt down this comic, it is stupidly weird and fun.
Well, thank you for that recommendation, Will. That's the first appearance of Rocket. I'll bet it skyrocketed in price a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody, we're gonna land the plane here. If you want to know more of our thoughts, just reach out to us on Instagram. You can reach out to us at Mighty Thor Podcast. I am Ryan Doze. Will is at Will Rose. We got Faz is at the Faz Guardian. Tripp is at Tripp Fuller. Really, we made it pretty simple for you guys.
Yeah, or at Theology Nerd if you want to follow him on that, and we want more of his theological, philosophical explorations. He's got a lot of great guests on his podcast, Homebrewed Christianity, and you can follow him on Instagram and Twitter too. He's a pretty fun follower there as well.
If you want more of kind of the framing that Tripp was doing for this movie and for really a lot of things in pop culture and philosophy and spirituality, all that stuff, you want more of that, follow Will's recommendation and go follow Tripp wherever he can be found. He does not disappoint. And he's a great friend of the podcast. Will is my great friend. Faz is fantastic. We all we assembled and then we all kind of slowly broke apart tonight, Will.
Similar to the movie. We just kind of broke off. Hey, we just fell right in line with what the movie did.
We kept it on theme, and we're gonna say goodbye now, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode. We just remind you that no matter where you are in the 9 realms, and until we see you next time aboard the Rainbow Bridge, do one thing, and that is to stay worthy. Do 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 do.